Hello everyone, I am Hema Khadayat from Udaipur Solar Observatory Physical Research Laboratory, Udaipur. Here I am presenting my work entitled Study of Cosmic Ray Intensity in association with Interplanetary Magnetic Field and Geomagnetic Storm. So the outline of my talk will be like this. First, I will give a brief introduction related to the topic, which will include introduction to coronal mass ejection, its interplanetary counterpart, that is ICME, then geomagnetic storm. Then I will discuss about the variation in cosmic ray intensity and a special kind of decrease, that is the Forbes decrease. After that, I will come to the data analysis part. Then I will present my results, and at the end I will conclude my results. So, as our sun is a very interesting object in our solar system, which exhibits many activities like solar flares, coronal mass ejections, prominences, solar winds, etc. So among these activities, coronal mass ejection is one of the very interesting and important phenomena, and it is a potential source of space weather phenomena. So therefore, I am starting with the introduction to CME. So here in this image shows the observation of the CME by LASCO C2 coronagraph on 28th October 2003. Here at the middle part, we have the solar disk observed by the Atmospheric Imaging Assembly on board the Solar Dynamics Observatory at 304 angstrom wavelength. And this is the occulting disk of the LASCO C2 coronagraph, which occults the solar disk, due to which we can observe the CME. So let us know about the CME, that is the coronal mass ejections. So CMEs are the most eruptive phenomena in our solar system and are able to release a vast amount of magnetized plasma from sun into the interplanetary space, and thus they are the potential risk for space weather near the earth. And when a CME erupts from the sun, it can carry plasma with mass ranging from less than 10 to the power 12 to greater than 10 to the power 16 gram, with a speed ranging from tens to more than 3000 kilometer per second. And with this mass and speed, we can calculate the kinetic energy of the CME, which ranges from less than 10 to the power 26 to greater than 10 to the power 33 erg. And the angular width of the CME ranges widely from 2 degree to 360 degree. And when a CME appears to surround the occulting disk of the observing coronagraph in sky plane projection, then these CMEs are known as halo CMEs. And CMEs propagate near the sun-earth direction, either towards the earth or away from the earth. Also, when a CME is produced over an active region, it is likely to have enough energy in order to propagate into the interplanetary medium. And the interplanetary counterpart of the CME is identified as the interplanetary CME, that is the ICME. And now this is the schematic of three-dimensional structure of an ICME. Before coming to this, I would like to discuss about the structure of a CME. So a CME generally have a three-part structure, in which we have a bright loop-like front, that is the leading edge, which is corresponds to the region of compressed plasma. Underneath it, there is dark cavity, which corresponds to the helical magnetic flux rope, and there is an bright core, which corresponds to the erupting prominence or filament material. And in most of the cases, we observe only the leading edge and the cavity part of the CME. And since ICME is the interplanetary counterpart of the CME, so here this is a kind of CME structure. So here this is the ICME contained in the helical magnetic flux rope in an ordered manner, and ahead of it there is a sheath region, which is the compressed magnetic field region, and this is the most turbulent region, and ahead of it there is shock which is produced due to the mismatch of CME speed and the ambient solar wind speed. And when a CME travels faster than the background solar wind speed, then it can generate a shock which can accelerate charged particles ahead of it. And the ICME can be identified with the in situ measurements of various ICME associated parameters at 1 astronomical unit distance. Here this image shows the variation in the interplanetary parameter on the arrival of the ICME. This image is taken from this paper, Ibrahim et al. 2019. Here we have various interplanetary parameters like this DST index, which is an indicator of geomagnetic storm. I will discuss it in my upcoming slide. And this is the variation in the temperature, proton density, flow speed, BZ component of the interplanetary magnetic field, and this is the total interplanetary magnetic field. And this black vertical line shows the indicates the arrival of the shock, and this red line corresponds to the arrival of the ICME structure, and this is the end. This green line corresponds to the end of the ICME structure. So when a CME enters into the interplanetary space, the interplanetary parameter shows fluctuations, and when the shock arrives in the interplanetary medium, since it is a most turbulent region, this sheath region, so when this arrive at the interplanetary medium, it produces a more turbulent variation in all of the interplanetary parameters. It shows a increase in the interplanetary parameter, and on the arrival of the CME structure, because this is in this region, this is the more structured manner, so it shows a gradual variation in the interplanetary parameter. Since in this study I am using this interplanetary magnetic field, so let me discuss about this interplanetary magnetic field. So interplanetary magnetic field is a part of the sun's magnetic field, which is carried into interplanetary space by the solar wind, and it originates in regions on the sun where magnetic field is open, means where field lines emerging from one region do not return to the conjugate region but extend virtually indefinitely into the space. Since the interplanetary magnetic field is a vector quantity, so it has three components, out of which two components, that is the Bx and By, are oriented parallel to the ecliptic, and the third component, that is the Bz component, is perpendicular to the ecliptic. And when this interplanetary magnetic field and the geomagnetic field lines are oriented antiparallel to each other, they can reconnect, and this results into the transfer of energy, mass, and momentum from solar wind flow to the magnetosphere, which causes a temporary disturbance in the Earth's magnetosphere, which is called geomagnetic storm. So geomagnetic storm is a temporary disturbance of the Earth's magnetosphere, which is caused due to the magnetic reconnection between the southward component of interplanetary magnetic field and the northward magnetic field in the magnetosphere. And the strength of a geomagnetic storm can be measured by the disturbance storm time index, that is the DST index. And on the basis of this DST index values, geomagnetic storms can be classified in three groups. when the DST index lies between minus 50 nanotesla to minus 100 nanotesla, then it is identified as moderate in storm. And when DST index lies between minus 100 nanotesla to minus 200 nanotesla, then it is intense storm. And when the DST index is less than equal to minus 200 nanotesla, then it is the super intense geomagnetic storm. And here in this image shows the effect of this solar wind or solar magnetic field on the Earth's magnetosphere. So when this solar wind arrive at the magnetosphere, it compresses the day side magnetic field lines while it elongates the night side magnetic field lines. Similar to this geomagnetic storm, a CME also produces variation in the cosmic ray intensity. Cosmic rays are generally highly energetic charged particles having energy up to 10 to the power 21 electron volt, and they mainly originate outside the solar system and arrive at the Earth's atmosphere from anywhere far from its atmosphere. And when CME from the sun arrived at the interplanetary medium, they changes the configuration of the interplanetary magnetic field, and which produces variation in the cosmic ray intensity. So here this cartoon shows the effect of ICME on the cosmic ray intensity. It is taken from this paper, Richardson and Kane 2011. Here in this right hand side panel, it shows the shock effect on the cosmic ray intensity, while in this left column, it shows the shock and ICME effect, combined effect of shock and the ICME on the cosmic ray intensity. So here we can see that in this case, the depression in cosmic ray intensity is more. And a special kind of decrease in cosmic ray intensity is called the Forbes decrease, which is discovered by the Scott Forbes in 1938. And it is a transient and rapid decrease in cosmic ray intensity followed by a slow recovery, typically lasting for several days. And this cartoon shows the effect of this solar magnetic field on the galactic cosmic rays. And when solar magnetic field enters into the Earth's atmosphere, it deflects the galactic cosmic rays, due to which we observe a depression in the cosmic ray intensity observed by the neutron monitors. So neutron monitors are the ground-based detectors which detects the cosmic ray intensity, cosmic ray particles. So with this brief background, now I would like to come to the data analysis part. So for this study, we have used daily mean values of interplanetary magnetic field, DST index, and cosmic ray intensity data for two solar cycles, solar cycle 23 and 24, which comprises the years 1997 to 2016. And the interplanetary magnetic field, daily mean values of interplanetary magnetic field and DST index data are taken from the OmniWeb data center, and the cosmic ray intensity data is taken from the Moscow Neutron Monitor, which is a ground-based monitor, and it has cutoff rigidity of 2.43 gigavolt. And for this present study, we have used the superposed epoch analysis, which is a statistical tool to find the temporal correlation between two time series. And the essence of this method is to define key times or epoch time, also called 0 day, from one data set and then to extract data from other series within a range near epoch time. And all extracted data are then superposed by adding or by taking average of them, and and in for the present analysis, For the present analysis, we assign the onset day of geomagnetic storm with criteria DST less than equal to minus 15 nanotesla as the epoch days or the 0 days, and results of the superposed epoch analysis are presented here. This shows the variation of DST index and cosmic ray intensity during solar cycle 23, that is from 1997 to 2006. In this slide, we have only 4 years from 1997 to 2000, and other years are presented in the next slide. So here in the x-axis we have days. So this study is done during -6 to +6 days from the 0 day. So in the x-axis we have days. In this y1 axis we have cosmic ray intensity. In this y2 axis we have DST index. And this black curve shows the variation in the DST index, and this yellow curve shows the variation in the cosmic ray intensity. So here we can notice that when the cosmic ray, when the DST index decreases, the cosmic ray intensity also decreases. And when the DST index increases, the cosmic ray intensity also increases. Also, the minimum value of the DST index and the minimum value of the cosmic ray intensity is found on the same day. A similar kind of result is also obtained for the other years. Here, both of the parameters shows similar kind of variation, and also the minimum value of the DST index and the minimum value of the cosmic ray intensity is found on the same day. But here we can see that for some of the years there is a delay of about 1 day in the minimum value of the cosmic ray intensity. So these years can be studied by the case study. And and this work is also extended for the solar cycle 24. And in solar cycle 24 we also observed a similar kind of result, that is both of the parameters, means cosmic ray intensity and the DST index. So variation in both of the parameters are similar, and also the cosmic ray intensity significantly decreases on the onset day of the geomagnetic storm. So from this we can say that both of the variation in both of the parameters are due to the same phenomena. And this work is also carried for the interplanetary magnetic field. So here we show the variation of interplanetary magnetic field and cosmic ray intensity during solar cycle 23. In this x-axis we have again we have days. In y1 axis we have cosmic ray intensity, and in y2 axis we have interplanetary magnetic field. So here we this blue curve shows the variation in the interplanetary magnetic field, and this yellow curve shows the variation in the cosmic ray intensity. So here we note that as the interplanetary magnetic field increases, the cosmic ray intensity decreases. When the interplanetary magnetic field reaches to its peak value, the cosmic ray intensity depresses more, and as the interplanetary magnetic field decreases, the cosmic ray intensity starts to increase. Means there is a inverse variation between both of the parameter. And similar kind of result is also obtained for other years like 2001 to 2006. And also we noticed that the maximum depression in cosmic ray intensity is found within 0 to 1 day after the peak value of the interplanetary magnetic field. This work is also carried out for the solar cycle 24, and here we also obtained a similar kind of result, that is with the increase of the interplanetary magnetic field, the cosmic ray intensity decreases, and with the decrease of the interplanetary magnetic field, the cosmic ray intensity increases. Again, the most maximum depression in cosmic ray intensity is found 0 to 1 day after the maximum value of the interplanetary magnetic field. In some of the cases, we have increased time lag. That is, in this case, we have a time lag of 2 days. So these years can be studied by the case study. Also, we noticed two types of depression in the cosmic ray intensity. These are the symmetric decreases and asymmetric decreases. Symmetric decrease is these two decreases are defined on the basis of the decrease phase and the recovery phase of the cosmic ray intensity. So decrease phase is the phase when the cosmic ray intensity varies from maximum to minimum value, and the recovery phase is defined as when the cosmic ray intensity recovers from minimum value to the maximum value. So if the decrease phase and recovery phase are similar, then this type of decrease is defined as the symmetric decrease. And if the decrease phase or decrease phase and the recovery phase of the cosmic ray intensity are not similar, then this decrease is defined as the asymmetric decrease. So here we can see that in some of the years, the decrease phase and the recovery phase are similar. So these are the symmetric decreases. While in some of the years, we have dissimilar decrease phase and the recovery phase. Now we have calculated the correlation coefficient between various parameters. So we found that the DST index and cosmic ray intensity are highly correlated with the correlation coefficient of 0.79, and this high correlation indicates that both of the variation in both of the parameters are due to a similar kind of phenomena. And also we have found a moderate negative correlation between interplanetary magnetic field and cosmic ray intensity. This negative value indicates that when one parameter increases, then other will decrease. And also we have found a high negative correlation between the DST index and the interplanetary magnetic field. So from this study, we have concluded that the cosmic ray intensity significantly decreases in a pattern similar to that of the DST index, and the decrease in cosmic ray intensity takes place on the occurrence day of geomagnetic storm. And also an increase in total interplanetary magnetic field produces a transient decrease in cosmic ray intensity, and the cosmic ray intensity decreases 0 to 1 day after the increase of the interplanetary magnetic field. And this time lag should be less if we take high resolution data of these parameters. Also, the cosmic ray intensity is highly correlated with the DST index, which indicates that the CME is most effective in causing Forbes decrease when it is closest to the Earth, and while it is moderately anti-correlated with the interplanetary magnetic field. Also, as the interplanetary magnetic field increases, the DST index is found to decrease, and it is highly anti-correlated with the DST index. And when the interplanetary magnetic field is suitably oriented, so it can produce a maximum it can produce geomagnetic storm, and interplanetary magnetic field can also produce depression in cosmic ray intensity, that is the Forbes decrease. Also, we have found two types of decreases in cosmic ray intensity. These are the symmetric decreases and the asymmetric decreases. So more detail about this study can be found from this paper. So with this, I would like to stop myself here. So thank you all.